Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We are jumping back to the Super Nintendo games to look at games that I consider underrated. The ones that never really got the attention because they're always pushed to the side when everyone else just seems to come up with the best lists and they're never on there. Now, as always, you might disagree with all the games I put on here. You might say, well, that game's not underrated. But I ask you the question, are the games on this list gonna make it in the standard top 10s or even top 20s? I don't think they are. There are always games like Street Fighter 2, Zelda and Mario going to be taking those spots. So I'm going to be giving what I think are 10 games that are completely underrated. And as always, if you think there's ones I need to be talking about, put them in here because we can do another video. If you've liked this video and you want to support it and you believe I deserve it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content and hit the notification bell to let you know when more videos are coming up. We've also got a weekly podcast and a $1 a month Patreon where you can get involved with the podcast and join the Smut Squad. Now, let's get into it, shall we? 10 underrated games for the Super Nintendo. Soul Blazer. Now, I already know what you're thinking. Hang on, whoa. There are other games that go along with this. But no, you've just got to calm down. Because it's underrated because you've got games like Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Secret of Mana, and the spiritual successors Illusion of Gaia and Terranigma. So Soul Blazer really is at the back of the queue when you're looking at these type of games. It's remarkable because it's got a unique core concept. Again, simply just going into the dungeons and defeating enemies, like every victory restores parts of the world that have been erased. It could be towns, forests, people, animals, and even emotions. And this rebuilding the world mechanic gives every action meaningful weight. I think that's really cool. Like each monster lair you clear doesn't just reward you with experience, it repopulates the villagers and brings back to life the devastated land, constantly reminding of the larger reason why we've been doing this bloody quest to begin with. The storytelling though is subtle and it's emotional, it's unsurprisingly philosophical. You have to deal with themes of creation, greed, and the bond between humans and nature. And every town that you manage to actually restore, you get new characters come back, you get stories, the emotional beats, that sense of community and interconnectedness. I think this is really cool. And again, rather than you having these big long dialogues and these big long cutscenes, the narrative's built through the quiet interactions and the small character moments that you do when you restore people back to the world. But the combat itself is pretty cool, it's pretty sharp. With tight hit detection, you have smart dungeon design, and a constant sense of progression as you clear the layers and lock new paths and gradually rebuild each region. I like it, like each area feels self-contained yet contributes to the overarching story. And this loop of going through a dungeon of restoration and character interactions is pretty addictive. As I said earlier, there are other games that you can put ahead of this in those top 20 spots, and that's how I want you to all think about this video. Again, The Legend of Zelda, Secret of Mana, blah. And that's why Soul Blazer just kind of keeps put at the bottom. But it's still a great game, and everyone should give it a go. It's got heart, it's got a distinct identity and qualities that not make it only very good, but one of the Super Nintendo's most overlooked classics. Space Megaforce, also known as Super Celeste. Yes, I did some research here and I found out what it was called. This game gets absolutely praised by shoot 'em up fans as one of the finest vertical shooters on the console, but it really just seems to be overlooked when you look at those retro discussions. And I think the problem is that we had games like Gradius, R-Type and Thunder Force on the Mega Drive, which completely oversold this, and that's a bit of a shame because this is a great game. Like, it's a masterclass in pure arcade craftsmanship. It's fast, it's fluid, it's customizable, and has that over-technical brilliance that the push to Super Nintendo to its absolute limit. The game offers a great amount of primary weapon types, and each of those have their own upgrade levels and secondary modes, so you can basically tailor your playstyle to how you want it to be, which is very unheard of in 90s shooters, whether you want it to be homing lasers. You can have multi-directional fire, wide area coverage. Every weapon just feels fun, so the replayability's up there as well, so you can try different playstyles. Kind of reminds me of Gunstar here, I don't know why that suddenly came into my head. The controls are still fantastic as well, they're responsive, the movement is fantastic, and that's what you need in these sort of games. It's like, again, the Contra thing, although I know it's a different genre, you need that ability for your actual movements to be perfect, because otherwise you're just gonna die. The level design is fantastic as well, and it's both creative, technically astonishing for the Super Nintendo, and there's so much stuff going on, like the amount of sprites, the projectiles, how the console's just not melting within itself or trying to take a gun to finish itself off. I honestly don't understand. Space Megaforce also went against the grain a little bit, because most shoot-em-ups you had the brutal memorization that you had to learn, or there were constantly cheap deaths, but here there's a good balance, I should say. Like, it's challenged enough to be engaging, but forgives it to be avoid frustrating. Like, you've got a generous hitbox, frequent power-ups, and flexible weapons. Makes it accessible for newcomers while still rewarding anyone who's really good at it, who actually want to go for the high scores or the master no-death runs, which I could never do, for God's sake, that's ridiculous. Like, I think, again, it's underrated because of the fact that it's mentioned Gradius, R-Type, Thunder Force. And also, when it came to North America, it didn't really get the push. So Super Nintendo players in those regions just went, don't really understand about it. Thank God for emulation's all I can say. Do-Re-Mi Fantasy. This is a game which is so underappreciated, it's ridiculous. And if you've never heard this game before, you need to have a look at it. If you know what I'm on about, you're all like in the channel going, yeah, this game's the fucking tits. It is. Like and subscribe. Yeah, boy. One of the main problems this game had was that it never released outside the West. So you have to rely on retro importers, and then eventually word of mouth is what got it to where it is today. Like, this game has this amazing sense of personality and imagination. Like, every world is packed with all the creative ideas. You've got musical forests, you've got ghost-filled mansions, underwater ruins, candy lands. There are so many different mechanics, there's enemies, there's environmental gimmicks, there's so much to play with here. The colours make you feel like you're taking acid. Not that I know what taking acid's like, but it kind of gives me that's what it would be like. Like, the main character Milton's animations alone showcase an incredible amount of polish. Like, his reactions, his idle movements, his expressions just add life and charm to the adventure. Every world and every enemy just builds on it even more. And again, the game looks really good. You look at it now, this is a spot-on game. And the reason why this game is so cool is Milton's bubble shooting ability, which is so cool because you can trap enemies or interact with stage objects in unique ways. Like, just shooting people use a bubble. So freaking cool. And the thing is that there's loads of areas you can explore as well. And there's a bit of light puzzling, but you just want to basically play the game, go explore, seek everything out. As a platformer, it's absolutely godlike, and I really wish that Hudson Soft, the people who made Bomberman and Adventure Island, they just took a risk and said, yeah, we're going to release this out, and they should have done it. Freaking morons. Talking about morons, Square, Bahamut Lagoon. Why the hell they never released this outside of Japan, I will never know. This is considered one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. Well, in my opinion, it's one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. And I think, again, because they were kind of focusing on the Final Fantasy titles, Bahamut Lagoon basically just got no localization. And again, it's had to be word of mouth and through importers that everyone absolutely loves it. So unlike traditional RPGs where simply the units can move and attack, each squad is paired with a dragon whose behavior you can't control the dragon, right? You basically impact on its behavior like what you feed it. So my dragon's going to be a fat fucker, because no doubt me and him are just going to be chilling out having a Domino's. That's all it's going to be. So either they're going to be dead powerful, or they're going to be unpredictable forces of chaos on the battlefield, because you've got no idea what's going to happen. But I told you, me and my dragon will be cool. If it's anything like my dog, who is the leader of this channel, Pat the dog, me and him will just go to town. Pat the dog has made appearances on this channel. Go research it. Pat the dog will be here. He is the king of Retro Wars. And I love that idea, is that the fact that there's that different strategy. Again, if you want to have that replayability of making my dragon awesome, listening to what I want him to do, or I want to make him this random thing I don't know what the hell he's going to do. You can also affect the terrain, so you can burn it, freeze it, flood it, transform it with magic. Have fun. Again, I love tactical RPGs, and again, Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics. This is my fucking jam, so of course I'm going to be here. And it has a really good story as well. Like, what begins as a classic tale of rebellion against an imperial force basically becomes a much deeper narrative about loyalty, trauma, sacrifice, and the weight of lost love. Like, the characters actually feel human and flawed, which is what I want. I want my people not to be overpowered badasses unless it's solo leveling, because that is freaking awesome. But I like to see they've got flaws. The game doesn't shy away from the darker themes either, and its dramatic moments are handled very, very well. This is a very good looking game as well. Square knew exactly what they were doing. Like, the dragons animate beautifully. Like, when they evolve, the spell effects, so good for the Super Nintendo. I just sit there and go, why have they never released this? Or do more with the series? Why not release this as a 2D HD remake, or HD 2, whatever you call it, whatever combination it is? Why not? I'd buy it. I'd be game. Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. Okay, people might know, we know about Lufia, we know what it is. However, are you often talking about the second one? Because the second one is considered the better one. But I think Lufia and the Fortress of Doom can stand up against other JRPGs of the year like the Final Fantasies, like the Dragon Quest. It's got great storytelling, memorable characters, and that RPG gameplay is pretty good. Music's pretty cool as well. Again, this is a very, very dark game. It has one of the most striking prologues of the generation, like it's basically a Doom final battle against the Sinestrals, with the legendary heroes sacrificing themselves in a tragic last stand. So, spoiler, that's Lufia 2. Sorry, that's how that works. The main cast themselves aren't really complex by modern standards, but they have the warmth and charm and the sincerity that makes the journey feel personal. Like, I love the relationship between Geros and Lufia. Again, it's an emotional heartbeat to the narrative, which sometimes the game needs. Again, the twist is there for the beginning, so, sorry if I spoiled that. But the gameplay is very satisfying. I love turn-based combat. Again, tactical RPGs are more my thing, and RPGs I still love as well. I love the world design, the towns are great, they're cozy, they're colourful, and they're filled with loads of NPCs who flesh out the world, and that's exactly what you need in this sort of thing. Dungeons themselves, well, they're kind of simple, but they do have the atmosphere and they're well arranged, offering the right balance of exploration and combat. Lufia 1 is completely overshadowed by the other JRPGs of the year, the Square ones, the Enix ones, and then eventually Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinestrals is often seen as the better one, and it is. But I still think it's worthwhile going back and giving this one a go, and especially see where the story goes, because Lufia 2 is a prequel, so yeah. Prince of Persia. Now, many of you will know what Prince of Persia is. I guarantee you will have known exactly what the series is, but will you have played Prince of Persia on the Super Nintendo, and will you put it in your top 20? Probably not. So there we go. It's a classic cinematic platformer, and it transformed like what the original PC game into something that was bigger, larger, richer, and more atmospheric. Again, we all know the franchise, but the Super Nintendo version just kind of goes unnoticed because that's a shame. It's arguably the finest 16-bit version of the game. It had expanded content, new levels, improved graphics, a polished presentation that did a really good job with the Super Nintendo's graphics. And because they could have just ported the PC version, which I'd played back in the day, but the developers just expanded it. To say how different it is, it's got nearly double the amount of content here. Veteran players are going to be so happy with this because whilst, yes, they'll understand the game and they'll understand how it works and a lot of the story beats and what they need to do, but the fact there's going to be loads of extra content here, it's great. And with now having the Super Nintendo to power it up, it's got great backgrounds, richly colourful environments, amazing sprite work and atmospheric lighting effects that really dramatically enhances the game's cinematic feel. Like every dungeon you go through feels moodier, the palace interiors feel more ornate, and the animations, oh god, they're already really good back then, but now they just feel fantastic and really smooth. Again, it's the animations what makes this game, because it's known for its realistic movements. The prince's jumps, his climbs, his rolls, his sword swings, they feel weighty and fluid. It feels like an actor doing them, and being on the Super Nintendo just pushes that even more. Now, being on the Super Nintendo and having extra content means there's new traps, there's expanded rooms, altered routes, and added secrets, so that veteran players aren't just going to walk into this and go, oh, okay, I don't know exactly what's going on, but you've still got the pressure plates, the collapsing tiles, the spike pits, and the clever switch puzzles, but they now appear in different places. So yeah, even if you played this game, you might not necessarily know what's coming. And I think this is a game everyone needs to learn their history with. The Prince of Persia franchise has gone up and down, but the original games still hold up as an absolute testament to what gaming could be, especially when you're trying to show gaming another culture. I think it does a good job. Super Robot Wars EX. Now again, this is another game that never made it outside Japan, but I put it in here because it's a strategical RPG or tactical RPG, and it had robots, and I love mechas. Holy shit. I was always going to have a Super Robot game in here. I love the Super Robot Wars series. They're freaking awesome. Now, the story itself, the main game, has 3 different perspectives, and you follow each of the characters, and you can basically see their own perspective on the overarching conflict in the realm of Lagias. Again, this structure allows players to see the story unfold through different motivations, so it kind of reminds me of Fire Emblem Three Houses. The story goes off in different ways. Although I know someone could say, but the story deviates dramatically. I know that, but that was just the irrelevant thing that came into my head. Leave me alone. I've had 2 glasses of wine. This is where my mind's going at the moment. Just be fine. But I love the sense of that the game has that political intrigue, the magical world building, and the personal rivalries. It does have that tighter dynamic art that's really engaging, but still quite easy to follow. The gameplay itself, love it. It's turn-based battle system, so you've got to look at your positioning, the terrain, your resource management. Different units have different roles, unique animations, and signature attacks faithful to their anime origins. And I think that's awesome, because the Super Robot Wars, if you don't know, bring together loads of different mecha animes together, and I am a big fan of the Gundam series. I was in Hobbyco the other day, and I didn't realize how much Gundam stuff they have in Hobbyco. My poor little brain nearly exploded. The wife had to get me out of there before I was spending stuff left, right, center. I wanted to buy a Freedom Master Grade. Now, if you know your Gunplas, you're going to know what I'm on about. Sorry, I just love that sort of thing. And I think the reason why, again, this game is so underrated, because it never left Japan. And I don't think it was ever going to leave Japan, because at the time, mech animes weren't big in America. Anime wasn't big in America. Yes, you can have a go at me and say, well, yeah, there's this anime. Yes, that is true, but it was still very niche. Again, anime and mech anime didn't really hit the scene until Gundam Wing started appearing on Cartoon Network, and you can fight me in the comments if you think that's incorrect, but it is. And again, I love Gundam Wing, but you never saw the other series making a bigger splash, did you? Although Zeta Gundam, that's the one you need to watch. Mwah. Sorry, weren't a tangent here. Ys 3, The Wanderers of Ys. Now, I'd never played a Ys game until I got asked to play this game. And people keep telling me it's the odd one out, because it's an action game, action RPG, because Ys isn't normally like that. But I played it, and I liked it. It's cool. This game is fast, it's punchy, and you basically have to swing a sword like an absolute madman, and I loved it. I love the story. I love the story where Adol returns to Dogi's hometown. That's pretty cool. Like, I played this, and I played the remastered version that came out for the Nintendo Switch. And both, well, I think Ys 3's had an episode in the podcast, and the remastered remake version is going to be getting an edition on the podcast as well. Absolutely love it. Basically, you have to go across the world of Dogi's hometown, and you're basically trying to stop Chester, who's the bad guy in this one, for a point. I know the twist, leave me alone. And you're trying to stop him from basically taking over the world or bringing a demon. No, his boss wants to bring a demon. There we go. His boss wants to bring a demon forth. And you have to go from basically dungeon to dungeon, per se, and try and save the day. But it starts off quite difficult, and it's one of those you grind, and once you get to a level where you're strong enough, then you go take on the bosses. The bosses are quite hard. The music's really cool, though. Listen to the soundtrack of this game. It's the tits. You want to go out into battle. Like, I wanted to go out and start swinging a sword in public. Probably not a good idea, but it's so cool. And eventually it follows those usual RPG things. You get stronger, you beat all the enemies, and then you can take on the boss. Then you go basically get new armor, rinse and repeat. That's all this game is, but the bosses itself are really cool. And I think the reason this game is so underrated is because it's very different from the first two games. And this is, rather than a top-down adventure, this is a 2D side-scroll action platformer. Very different, I know, but still, I think it's worth a while giving it a go. But that final boss can absolutely go put its thumb up its arse. It's so fucking difficult. Ridiculous. Sparkster. Now, I love Rocket Knight. Rocket Knight on the Mega Drive was one of my favourite games of all time. My god, it was so good. But the Super Nintendo got its own version of the game. Konami decided, why not bring it to the Super Nintendo? Now, again, like the Mega Drive version, this lent heavily on the bright colours, the fluid animations, the explosive set pieces, and basically Sparkster just became an absolute god in these games. You play as Sparkster and a Possum Knight, which is just so cool, and I love Sparkster. I wish we see more of him. God, there needs to be more Sparkster. He has a rocket pack, which is just awesome, but that defines the gameplay, so he can bounce around the screen. It was just absolutely insane, ricocheting off all the walls. Or he has essentially the set pieces where he's flying off with the sword in hand. Awesome. The game itself, brilliant. Even the Super Nintendo version, there's lush environments, the expressive character sprites. The parallax scrolling they managed to do is very, very good. And the art direction from Konami here is very, very, very beautiful. Like, Sparkster himself is so animated with charm. And again, it's more, if you've loved the Mega Drive version, you're going to love this. That's probably how I should look at it. And I think many people looked at it when, oh, hang on, is it going to be the same as the Mega Drive version because that was so good? But the Super Nintendo version did take a little bit of, I don't know, the tone and direction was slightly different. So people kind of wrote it off unfairly. And I think probably by the time the mid-90s was at this point, Sparkster was lost to Mario, Donkey Kong, and Mega Man X. And it should have come out the same time Rocket Knight Adventure came out on the Mega Drive. That was the problem, but I still think this game holds up. And again, if you like Rocket Knight Adventure on the Mega Drive, you're going to love Sparkster. Don't just see it as a report or remake. It's not. It's its own game, and you should give it a go. It's freaking awesome. And finally, Fire Emblem Genealogy: The Holy War. No, I will bang on about this game until the cows come home. I know that's a ridiculous phrase, but I will. The reason why this game is so underrated is easy. It never left Japan. And Fire Emblem itself really didn't take off properly, I'd say, until the 3DS games came out. And once they came out, it became an absolute staple. And then people got to go back and go, oh yeah, what's this game? It's freaking godlike, that's what this game is. In my opinion, it's one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. Other people may fight me against that, but I really do. I love this game. When I went through my Fire Emblem binge, I finally got to this one. And I thought, well, it's a little bit different because the stages are massive. Now, previously in other Fire Emblem games, you have one stage, one mission objective, and then you carry on to the next place. However, in here, you can have this huge world map, and that is basically 3 levels, which is insane. So you do one objective, then you go do the next, and then you go do the next. The levels are absolutely massive. But it has that Fire Emblem charm, with some differences. Whilst, yes, they're arranged different classes, and yes, you'll be able to promote them like you do. But the difference is here, though, is your use of your base. Where previously you could go visit towns or go visit the Colosseums to go get items or to get a little bit stronger, here, it's essential everyone goes to the Colosseum. But it's all done in your home castle. Yeah, a little bit different, but you need to do it because levels are scarce, and oh my god, you will need all the grinding you can get. Again, the levels are massive, the story is dark, very political. Again, did I say dark? I meant dark. There is a generation system where basically depending on what you do with some of your characters, it'll affect the babies they have and the stats and names they will have. What happens midway, I'm not telling you, but it's awesome. All I can say, fucking awesome. Simply one of the best stories on the Super Nintendo. I will fight you. I'm not even going to it. Sigurd is a badass. His son's a badass. Just play the goddamn game. It's hard as balls. I will tell you that, though. Freaking hard as balls. If you like Fire Emblem, this is different just because horsies are needed. Oh my god, if you're a horsey unit in this game, you're the boss. Land people don't like walking because the map's so bloody big and horses can go like 50 steps. Sorry, I've just kind of gone on a bit of a tangent. But this game also introduced a skill system, and before skills became like standard in the series, Genealogy introduced it, so different characters have different abilities, and again, depending on who the mother and father is, can see what they pass down to their children, so you can make super units if you plan it that way, which is goddamn so freaking cool. Again, the second half of this story is oh god, I just love this game. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, it's what I do. But honestly, if you love Fire Emblem, you'll love this. And if you love tactical RPGs, you should give it a go as well. And that's it. My list of 10 underrated games for the Super Nintendo. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know where the ones I should be talking about, or do you agree that these are all underrated? Until next time, I'll see you all in a few days. You all take care of yourself. My name's been Danny. Bye-bye.